Greetings, fellow travelers. Today we will trek along San Diego Zoo's northernmost mesa, the Northern Frontier Zone, which is home to Conrad Prebys Polar Bear Passage, featuring pathways covered by a canopy of fragrant conifers that give shade for foxes and raccoons, and ponds where we can watch Arctic ducks splash and swim. In addition to Arctic animals, we get a good look at antelopes and zebras from equatorial regions of Africa and mountain lions from North America, as well as a few South American species. Though this species is widespread, some subspecies and populations are in decline, mostly due to habitat loss and conflicts with people. In mountain lion territory, these elusive cats and people often coexist. Mountain lions typically avoid us, and we can reduce the risk of encountering one by following 3 easy steps. Hike, bike, or jog during daytime with a friend. Don't let pets and young children play outside alone, and avoid attracting mountain lion prey by feeding your pets inside and deer-proofing your landscaping. Next up is a shared exhibit for the Patagonian Mara and giant anteater. Patagonian Maras use their long, rabbit-like legs to walk, run, gallop, and hop, and can sprint as fast as 35 miles per hour. And these next residents are not to be called pigs. Peccaries differ from pigs in more than just geography, and one of the most reliable ways to tell a peccary from a pig is to look at its mouth. The arrangement and number of teeth is different. A pig's canine teeth grow out and backward into large curved tusks, obvious even when its mouth is closed. In contrast, a peccary's proportionally smaller, straighter tusks aren't so obvious. They grow in more vertical orientations. Upper canines grow downward, and lower canines grow upward. A peccary's upper and lower tusks interlock, which stabilizes their jaw and strengthens their biting force. It also constrains their chewing motion to an up and down movement of the lower jaw. This gives peccaries the ability to crack open seeds as hard as palm nuts. Next door, we find the southern Gerenuk, where long legs, long neck, and large eyes distinguish the species from other African antelope. Their strong hind legs and modified vertebrae allow them to stand upright on 2 legs, and with their long necks make their standing height more than 6 feet. Because they can balance on 2 legs, they can use their front legs to reach and pull down branches up to 8 feet above ground. Down the pathway, we find 2 yards housing Bantabuck, one of the rarest antelope in South Africa. The white facial markings are known as threat mask, resembling a medieval knight's helmet as intended to intimidate predators. And in the early 19th century, only 17 of these animals remained after being hunted by the thousands for their skins and meat. It was a farmer that built a fence for the remaining 17 on his property, unknowing saving the Bantabuck from extinction. And here we come to another multi-species habitat. And first up is the lesser kudu, which have a sleek brownish-gray coat with vertical white stripes on the body. These help make them hard to find in the sunlight coming through trees. Lesser kudu also have white chevrons between their eyes and white patches on their neck. The cows and calves are redder in color, which help with better camouflage in their woodland habitat. They feed on the leaves and roots of nearly 150 different plants and rarely drink water, seemingly get enough liquid from the plants they eat. These gazelle have many adaptations that allow them to live in harsh, semi-desert areas of Africa. The most distinctive trait of these animals is their ability to inflate the skin on top of their nose to the size of a baseball. This feature amplifies their honking alarm call, but also helps regulate their body temperatures, cooling down their brain and preventing them from overheating, a condition that can be deadly. The gazelle's belly is white, helping to deflect heat rising from the desert sand. Near the eyes and down the front of the muzzle are dark stripes that are thought to reduce glare from the sun. When alarmed, Speke's gazelle use a pronky behavior, which involves leaping in the air with an arched back and stiff legs. This may send a message to predators that the gazelle is strong and not worth pursuing. Political instability and war have contributed to the species' disappearance from Ethiopia. Further threats include drought, competition from domestic livestock, and illegal wildlife trade. And here we enter polar bear Plunge, which opened in 1996 and was renovated in March of 2010. Home to over 30 species representing the Arctic, the focal point of this habitat being an underwater viewing area built to observe the polar bears swimming, which contains 130,000 gallons of water. This also helps the polar bears handle San Diego's climate. The pool is chilled and the bears are given a diet of mostly meat. While these polar bears do love their yam and carrot treats, they get few calories from them. Since they don't need a layer of blubber to protect them from extreme cold here, San Diego's polar bears are leaner and have thinner coats than they would in the Arctic. As for famous polar bears here at San Diego, there's been plenty, but we will go back to 1942, where Taku became the first polar bear born at the zoo. His arrival was met with great fanfare. For the first few weeks of his life, he spent it in an off-exhibit bedroom with his mother until he was strong enough to explore the world outside. Problem was, he didn't care for it much at first. Keepers described the mother carrying him into the exhibit and sitting him down, where he would turn tail and head back for the bedroom. His mother wanted a long soak in the deep, cool pool. She looked at him as he whined in return, and then back at the pool. The pool won that battle. She slid in, completely immersed herself, and floated on her back. Apparently that was the worst thing that could have occurred to Taku, as far as he was concerned. He dashed towards the pool, but backed away from the splashing water. He ran back and forth along the edge, crying for his mother. When she came to the edge to reassure him, he even tried pulling at her neck with his tiny little teeth to get her out. Eventually she relented and they went back to the bedroom. It took Taku a couple of weeks and lots of coaxing from his mother before he apparently decided there was no danger from the pool for his mother, but he still wouldn't go in. He would just parade around the edge. Finally, his mother picked him up and took him in, wriggling all the way. However, upon entering, and true to his polar bear spirit, he found it wasn't so bad, and it quickly became his favorite place. Then it became his mother's turn to be worried. He chose the highest spot on the room to dive from. He would then dive in just so that he could land on top of her and try to dunk her. Visitors loved watching his daredevil dives and all his playful antics as he grew up. What we passed a moment ago was the back viewing of one of the duck ponds, and what we are passing now is a series of side-by-side exhibits housing Arctic fox, reindeer, and raccoons. Everything about Arctic foxes helps them survive their cold, harsh habitat. Like reindeer, Arctic foxes have hair on the bottoms of their feet to give them good traction as they race across icy ground. Their tail curls around their face like a scarf when the frigid wind blows. Even the color of their fur changes with the season of the year. In winter, their fur is white to blend in with the snow. During the spring, they shed their winter coat, revealing gray fur underneath that camouflages them among the tundra's rocks. Arctic foxes have a great sense of smell and excellent hearing. With their small pointy ears, they can hear their prey moving around in underground tunnels. And when food is scarce on the tundra in the wintertime, Arctic foxes will often follow polar bears to eat their leftovers. Scientists believe that reindeer were first domesticated between 3,000 and 7,000 years ago in northern Eurasia. Still the only deer species to be wildly domesticated, reindeer are used as beasts of burden and farmed for milk, meat, and their hide. In comparison to body size, they have the largest and heaviest antlers of all living deer. They're the only deer species in which both males and females grow long antlers. Raccoons can be found from the wooded areas from southern Canada to Central America. A baby raccoon is called a kit. A litter may contain 1 to 7 kits. Wrapping around the pathway, we will find a display about carbon in our lives and the effects on the environment. Then we will come to the last set of exhibits for the polar bear plunge area. Several outdoor ponds housing waterfowl, as well as an aviary housing more waterfowl and songbirds. Here we will learn that waterfowl have adapted to the difficulties of diving in remarkable ways. Arctic diving ducks feed on mollusks and crustaceans living on the ocean floor. This often requires that they remain submerged for long periods of time. To overcome their natural buoyancy, diving ducks reduce the amount of air on their feathers, lungs, and air sacs. They also slow their heart rate while underwater, allowing them to conserve their scant supply of oxygen for when they need it most. Although this species is monogamous, once the eggs are laid, the males leave their mates and gather in bachelor flocks. These birds nest near falcons for protection. Foxes that might otherwise steal goose eggs and young stay away because the falcons will attack them. This bird is nicknamed the beach goose because they feed and roost in salt marshes and along the ocean's edge. Although they are old world birds, these ducks sometimes fly over the Arctic to North America. Listen for the call of these birds, a squeaking sound that has earned the species the nickname sea mouse. Most diving birds bring their food to the surface, but buffleheads eat while underwater. They stay submerged for about 12 seconds at a time. This duck is a great diver. It can swim to depths of 6 feet and stay underwater as long as 40 seconds. Males of this species are black and white, while females have chestnut-colored heads with white cheek patches. Outside the polar bear plunge, we find one more exhibit in the northern frontier zone, which houses 2 species. About 2,250 critically endangered Grevy zebras remain in the wild. Their numbers were decimated by loss of habitat and anthrax bacterial outbreaks. San Diego Zoo Global is a member of the Grevy Zoo Trust and is working with other groups to preserve the population. Staying safe from lions and hyenas is critical, so a newborn eland stands, walks, and follows its mother when less than an hour old. This will conclude our trek through the northern frontier at San Diego Zoo. Thanks for joining me. This is Brad, and I will see you where our adventures take us next. Until next time, safe travels, everyone.